And then at the day of the show, we have a problem. We're like, what kind of problem are you talking about?
There was this moment in the late 90s where first nobody was talking about Caliban, and all of a sudden you guys were like the reference for what's going on in hardcore and metalcore. Back in those days, because you've been around from the very start, was that a surprise to you to see how quickly the band rose to fame in the late 90s, early 2000s?
We didn't even acknowledge it at the late 90s. For us, it came, we actually acknowledged it, that there is some kind of a hype when the Shadowhearts album came out, and I think that was 2001, if I'm not mistaken. I hope. And because we planned the release show for that album in our hometown, and usually it was like in our home area, the shows sucked. There were not many people. When we drove somewhere, for example, East Germany, we had already an idea that there's some little hype going on, and there were like a couple hundred people at the shows, especially at the DIY hardcore, metalcore show, or new school hardcore, whatever you want to call it at that time. That was unusual that there's like 400, 500 people at a show. We had that sometimes in the east part of Germany, but for sure in our home area. And that show will always be a good memory, because we wanted to book a club, like not a club, like I don't know, like some youth center. Do you call it?
Yeah.
For like 200 people. And we couldn't find anything. We all booked out, and then the friend said, let's go in this venue. We say, are you insane? There's for 800 people. What are you gonna do there? And then he had the idea, let's make it, we do it this way. Half of the room is like sellers of like CDs, distros, and food, and the other half is for the show. And then we were like, it's still 400. Yeah, okay, let's give it a try. And then we booked that show and did promotion and all that kind of things. We also did a lot of self-promotion. We were going around and like put posters on places and stuff like that. And then they did a pre-sale for that show, and nobody counted the tickets because they thought, it's going to be pre-sale. At that time, at hardcore shows, nobody did pre-sale, but the place wanted to do pre-sale for some reason, that place where the show was taking place. We always do pre-sale because they had all kinds of shows. Okay, let's do pre-sale. And nobody watched the numbers. And also, they watched somehow the numbers. The first like 2 weeks before the show, it was like 50 tickets, or a week before the show, it was 120 tickets. Pre-sale, usually no pre-sale and 120 tickets. Maybe we get the 300-400 people. And then at the day of the show, we have a problem. We're like, what kind of problem are you talking about? We sold 1,400 tickets in pre-sale. We're like, what? Yeah, and the room just fits 800 to 900, and then they had to take off all the food places, all the distros and everything, and make room somewhere else. And then they had to refund some money, because there were definitely more than 900 people, and actually the capacity is higher than that. But it was really funny. There was one security guy standing on stage, and the other one at the door said, 20 more? 50 more? And then the line outside was like so long. There was like hundreds of meters of a line outside. We were like, what is happening here? And that was the moment we realized there's something going on, because there were so crazy many people at a show. The show was also cheap. I think it was like 6, 7, 8 euros or something, very cheap. But still, there were like tons of people. That was funny.
All right, so if you like that video, click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.